Good morning, folks. We could have called this Algo's Gone Wild, but they did go wild on some news. So, Algo Stupidity? We'll cover the price action in VKTX, the headlines, the comparisons, and the corresponding price action. SoftBank taking a stake in Intel. Algos didn't really believe it, I guess, or thought of another reason why it won't be a great thing. But things are moving. We got some earnings. Palo Alto Networks, Home Depot this morning. Cover a little macro, not much there. Chris Bretcher, Simpler Trading, joining us at 8:35. It's pre-market prep on a Tuesday.
The volatility right now is really incredible.
Wow, look at that consolidation on the upper right chart.
You know what we've seen this earnings season? Some of these expected moves get even more violent. And this is why I have switched my strategy 10 years ago. And if you're chasing, you're in trouble.
All right, good morning, traders and investors. I'm just going to call this market flat. We're just stuck here. We're going nowhere. We're never going to move again. The buck down 13 cents at 97.88. TLT showing a little bit of strength. Up 22 cents, 86.37. USO just clinging to 72, but still down 49 cents, 72.68. GLD and SLV diverging. GLD up 53 cents, 307.48. SLV flat, 34.48. And Bitcoin down 7.15. Are we building another base here at 115, 116 to rocket higher? Or are we going to lose this 50-day moving average and maybe get back to five figures? Triple D is fired up today. We're going to bring them on. And Algo's, Dennis.
Algo's gone wild.
Again. I almost changed it, but you know what? Because they didn't react on the Intel.
They're not really that wild. They're just
that's why I stuck with Algo Stupidity.
Yeah. So let's start with the story of the morning. And we thought it was going to be Intel, but I actually think it's going to be Viking Therapeutics. So we're going to get to Intel in a second here. Viking Therapeutics reports coming out just after 7 a.m. I'll get you the headline here right now. It had been moving up. We knew the data was coming. I don't think they knew the exact day yet, but it came this morning. So Viking Therapeutics announces positive top-line results from phase 2 venture oral dosing trial of VK2735 tablet formulation in patients with obesity. That's the headline. That's the headline from the press release. So that's the break. Then if you dig in, you can see the numbers. And the number looks like up to 12.2% weight loss. Wait a second. Positive top-line results, but I'm a human being. Positive top-line results, 12.2. What did Lilly do? Oh, yeah. We got to go back to Lilly. Well, they did 12%. And the stock fell 100 points. So what in the hell is VKTX Algos doing? Buying VKTX up, and you will not believe this, folks, but it did. On the initial headline at $42.09 is where it closed. Go back to VKTX. On the initial headline, they bought the stock to $61. Yes, it printed $61 this morning. VKTX on that headline. The initial algo was like, buy. And then nobody else bought. Why did nobody else buy? Because the trial results sucked. But they just read. So now this shows us that there are so many stupid. Yes, I said it 4 times. Algos out there. They're reading the headline only. There are people running algorithmic systems, not all of them. I'm sure you've got smarter systems, probably Citadel, other companies that are running better systems. But there are systems out there that are literally reading just the headline. The headline looks great. Viking Therapeutics announces positive top-line results from phase 2 venture. Sure, nothing wrong with the headline. It's positive. There was 12.2% weight loss. That's positive. But when you think about comparisons, it's not positive because Lilly did the same thing at 12 and they sold the stock off 100 points. And the one thing that Lilly has that Viking doesn't have is money. So what does this mean? It means who in the heck, I said heck, Money must be happy I didn't say the other word because the YouTube algos. Who in the heck is coming to buy VKTX when they had the same results as Lilly? The answer? Nobody. Nobody's coming to buy this company. The takeover is over. There's no takeover coming. Not on those results. Those numbers need to be way higher. Why would Lilly come and buy Viking Therapeutics? There was an article yesterday floating around. Lilly may be considering buying Viking Therapeutics. Why would they buy Viking Therapeutics if their drug's just as crappy as their own? 12.2, not completely crappy, but not good enough. They needed to see like 15, 18, 20, 25, 30, something huge. So now Lilly's got just as good of a pill. Well, why are they going to go buy Viking? They've got their own pill and they have money. So there's no point to them coming and buying Viking whatsoever. So I think dead cat bounces to be sold in this. I don't think there's any acquisition coming. And it proves how stupid the algos are. They are stupid, folks. There is some that are genius algos. Don't kid yourself. Citadel, Virtu, they run great algos. They're good at market making. They're good at arbitrage. They're good at all that stuff. They're still not great at reading headlines. Algos are still not great at it. SoftBank Intel last night.
Wait, Dennis, I just want to give Lilly did eventually bottom. It took, I just pulled up a 4-hour chart, to get a perspective. So it did go lower, and it took a little time and it bottomed. There was those nominal insider buys. Boy, I just looked at that pre-market low, and I know some of our traders were nibbling down there at 25.30. Don't know if you're going to see that again. So if you want in this stock, you're trying to cover a short, boy, oh boy, I would get on a decline. I would get out ahead of that 25.30. Where the stock goes long term, I have absolutely no idea. And now I know why
it's not good. The numbers aren't good. And there's going to be 1 million people on Twitter, because there's a lot of people in the stock and then social media saying, oh, these were great results. No, this is like, somebody just said the absorption rate was higher. They're looking, why do you think the stock just went down 30%? It's because the 12 is the number that matters. Sorry, we can talk about other things, but the 12 matters. The results speak for themselves here now. The stock's down 30%. It's not down on good results. They hit Lilly on the 12. They hit Viking on the 12.
40 patients.
I know. They're smaller trials, too, because they don't have money. Viking doesn't have money. The whole thing the whole time was they needed – this is the whole thing with Viking. And I said it's a speculative potential takeout play. I've said it before. That if they come out with good drug news, there'll be other companies that'll be sniffing around wanting it. I don't think anybody wants it at 12.2%. Sorry. I don't think it's good enough. I think, I just don't think it's good enough, those numbers. So then the Lilly was, obviously, we're talking the pill. The Lilly pill, it fell. The numbers came out like 2 weeks ago. And that's when the Lilly might have been at earnings too. I'm not sure if it was earnings in there too. And they announced, but the pill.
Yeah, they did. They did beating a slight raise, and they had
the pill.
Right. But another thing with Lilly, I mean, and they have other drugs. They have money, right? It's a big difference. But
it is.
Yeah.
VKTX needs an investor. This is the difference, folks. Listen carefully here. I know the story. VKTX needs an investor to come in because it's really expensive to fund these trials. They need to have good phase 2 studies as people come, oh, this drug is going to get to market. This drug is going to be a blockbuster. We want to come scoop up this company, at like $60 or $70 a share. That just went off the table, I think. I think it did. I know we're bouncing because nothing goes straight down. But I mean, that kind of just came off the table here today. I don't see an investor coming in and saying, I absolutely need to buy this company when the numbers were exactly the same as Lilly. It's not good enough. No, Lilly's not buying them. You can forget Lilly. They're never buying them.
Lilly's up on this. Number. Lilly and GPCR are up on this news.
GPCR, competing drug. Lilly, competing drug. Novo, competing drug, all trading a little bit higher. This is a drop in the bucket for Novo and Lilly, really. GPCR, competing drug. They have an oral obesity drug that they're working on. So it's good news for them for sure. When, you have a competitor fail, it's like, oh, maybe ours is going to be better. But just analyzing, going back to the original rant, is that there's algos out there that are literally just reading the headline and not digging any deeper. They can't compare. They can't do a lot of things. I just had somebody, talking to me saying AI is going to put you out of a job, Dennis, within a year. I have heard this.
Who said that?
I think I was in the S10 rooms talking about this. I have heard this for the last 15 years that algos are going to put me out of a job next year. They were supposed to put me out of a job in 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Here I am, still trading. I did algorithmic trading. I did it from 2006 to 2010. And then Citadel and Virtu and everybody else, got faster and spent millions and millions of dollars to, take speed out of the equation and payment for order flow arrangements. And market making, ceased to exist for the majority of market participants. It's now a monopoly between a couple of participants.
You exceeded the capabilities of the University of Windsor Computer Club.
Yes.
All right. Intel,
hundreds of millions of dollars, you could exceed that capability. So, so we move out of the race. So we move to different things. But this is obviously not perfected, folks. When you see stock moves like this, it's not perfected. Example 2 of how the algos are not perfect. Example 2 of how we're still going to have jobs as human traders next year. Promise you, it's happening. Still going to be here next year. Go to Intel news last night. SoftBank going to invest in Intel. Huge news. That's awesome news. Came out exact time, 7:10. SoftBank Group and Intel Corp signed $2 billion investment agreement. I tweeted it out. The stock was still flat. I was like, not going. It literally sat there. It went up a little bit on the initial algos. There was probably a couple algos that were actually on it. And then it just sat there and it was doing nothing for like 5 minutes. Long enough that I was like reading the whole thing. I'm like, am I missing something? Because this looks pretty good news, but it's not going up. I'm like, am I missing something? No. The market's just slow because it takes human beings time, and the algos didn't get this one either. This was a pretty simple one. I don't know how the algos didn't get this one, but they didn't. Stock just kind of sits there, la, 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 connect the dots, la, 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 connect the dots. It didn't start moving till like 8 minutes later. You think algos are coming for your job next year? You wrong. They're not that good yet. They're good like arbitrage. They're awesome. Market making, they're awesome. They came for those jobs. They've taken the market making jobs away. Arbitrage, where its stock is taken over for X, but even on that, they overshoot sometimes, Joel. There is a place for human beings for a very long time in this market. There is. So that's good news for everybody listening to the show right now. There is more opportunity for humans in this market. Intel last night, huge opportunity, moved really slow on that SoftBank investment, and now it's up huge. So if you think it was all algos just driving it up higher, it wasn't. It was actually humans that came in and did this because this move was really, really slow.
A couple comments here. Number one, maybe the algos were programmed for the, they were waiting for the U.S. investment. And that's still on the tables. There's rumors of 10%. And so maybe maybe their keyword was Trump or U.S. or, something to that matter. So they weren't programmed for SoftBank. That could be one theory. The other theory is that
there was one. It did move, Joel, on the initial headline. Okay. There was at least one algo that was on it. There was one good, probably the Citadel algo. Kenny's the goat. It was probably the Citadel.
They bought a whole bunch. Do you have any connections over there?
And they're like, we have enough now. Now the human beings can come in.
Do you know anybody
Kenny's
over there?
We're not talking to you, Kenny. You rock.
Dennis, you could
make a lot of money off of us, but
think you'll get him on the show, Dennis?
No.
You got Eric Jackson on the show.
I know. You asked for Eric Jackson. I'm not going to be able to get Kenny.
Okay. All right. And then, the second thing is maybe they think, well, U.S. won't do it now. In the U.S., they could probably put 10 billion or 20 billion or 30 billion or whatever they could get to print at the Fed. I'll just say that you have a number to react to. That's 25.65. That's the high of the move. That was made 2 days ago. Didn't quite get there and only got to 25.32. You're hanging your bid here up near $25. So pre-market high coinciding with the recent high of the move.
And we've been talking and you've been talking and everybody's been talking about this 25. It is the level of levels. It is the resistance point of resistance point. It went up, and I'm just going to say the same thing. 25 is just huge. And every time you come in, like even last night, I was like telling the STN room, like we talked about the headline and then it started running. I was like, 25. It's kind of the number. I know buddy Mike in the STN room's been playing it. Like it gets down 24, buys it, sells at 25. When it comes down to 23 and a half, buys at 20 or sells at 25. I sold some at 25 too. I have half my original position still though. Obviously, we bought this back at 2070 when it was originally announced that Buddy was going to the White House. I was like, that's gotta be good news. It's been like 5-6 days, and there's been lots of good news coming, and there still could be an announcement coming here. I still think there's a case for Intel to go higher, but this definite 25 resistance is a problem. This is like been the problem area. Needs to get up through this on this news today. If it fails here again, it's a problem.
Yeah, the fact, I mean, if you want to find anything negative, this is that it did not reach, it made a lower high off good news. So I'm not going to say the story's over, it's done or whatever, but I would have at least had expectations that it would have seen that level. But hey, it's only 8:16 Eastern time. Who knows what's going to happen during the regular session?
Well, and there's more. This was unexpected news. The SoftBank wasn't the news. This is completely out of the blue. So now you have potentially the government investing, U.S. government potentially investing. We still don't have confirmation of that in Intel. I have SoftBank investing it, to do AI stuff. I mean, when you go into the press release from last night, it sounds pretty darn good. Just clicking it and just going a little bit farther in here. Investing in SoftBank, the investment comes as Intel and SoftBank deepen their commitment to investing in advanced technology and semiconductor innovations in the United States. SoftBank's investment in Intel builds upon its long-term vision of enabling the AI revolution by accelerating access to advanced technologies that support digital transformation, cloud computing, and next-generation infrastructure. So they invested, this press release is telling you, they invested in Intel because they believe it's an AI play. That's not been an AI stock. Intel has been hated and forgotten, but this is like a potential huge turnaround story. Do I think it's hitting 30? I think it has the potential. I don't know yet. I took it from 2070 to 25 and sold half, and I'm holding the other half because I'm like, I don't know. Like, I think there could be another announcement coming. Maybe we confirmation that Trump is investing. Maybe Trump comes out and says, you know what? I don't like the guy now. He changes his mind. That thing would tank on that. So it's still unknowns. But at this point in time, with the information we currently have and SoftBank coming in here now too, the story appears to be turning around, which is good news. And the value, not that Intel's value, but it was at one time. You think about where the earnings were. The earnings have just come down so far. That's no longer a value stock. But there's a lot of opportunity here for Intel if they can execute this time. They got some friends on their side.
All right, let's just briefly touch on the politics in Washington. Trump urges a Putin, Zelensky meeting. Who knows how that's going to go? But that's not the main news coming out of the White House. Moving some drone stocks today.
Yeah, you threw me under the bus on this one. I do know I don't have the headline in front of me though, but there was rumors. Again, this is all just rumors coming out that it was going to be a deal with Zelensky on potentially if they bought some drone stock with Ukraine. They buy some drone stocks that give them security. So you start thinking, okay, well, what are the drones? Not buy some drone stocks, buy drones. So, but you think war drones right away, AVAV, UMAC, Unusual Machines getting a pop here too. So most of the drone stocks last night popped on that headline as well. Again, we're still in rumor territory here. So this is not like official announcements from the White House or anything. These are rumors here. So rumors that if Ukraine buys some drones from the U.S., that they may give them security. That's good for AVAV and UMAC if that materializes. But again, it is just a rumor here right now. Remember, separate the war drones from the drones that are delivering people. Like Joby, that's drones, but that's delivering people. That's not war drones. So you got to separate it. AVAV is the pure play here.
All right, let's do real quick. We'll do the war drones. Just a quick reaction here. This AVAV's just been unbelievable. Made that new all-time high, had a pullback, and then it made a lower high. So you're popping again here. So we'll see where the resistance comes in this. On the dailies, I'm not. I see some stuff at right where we're at. Is this 254, 264? It's 254. No, not much here. Your next daily high comes in at 255.23. And then that's it for the drone stocks.
Let's go to the earnings parade because we do have an earnings parade and we do have our guest in the background here. It's going to come on in a few minutes. Want to go to Palo Alto earnings from last night. PANW is trading up 10 points. The results were good here. Remember, Palo Alto Networks sold off a couple weeks ago on the CyberArk merger there. The report last night, 95 cents versus 88 cents, 2.53 billion versus 2.5 billion. That's a beat on the top. That's a beat on the bottom. The guidance is okay. Pretty good, actually. 88 cents to 90 versus 85, which is a slight raise. 2.45 billion versus 2.47 billion versus 2.3 billion. That's a slight raise. And for the fiscal year, 375 to 385, which is a slight raise as well. So they went beat, slight raise. Slight raise, good enough because one, the stock is significantly off of its highs, 210 down to 176 from the CyberArk merger. So that's good news. Stock holding up fairly well. One thing, in this market is it's been a little bit of a sell the rip lately. So I don't know if I'm chasing it here, but it's good news that it's held up all night.
Pre-market high, 189.35. It looks like got a little bit of a seller today. I don't care about that. On the 15-minute chart, someone says, I want out at 188. And they've been made to stand there since 6 a.m. So if you do get a pop, you're looking for the pre-market high, check the action at 188. That's $1.30 away. Top of yesterday's range, way down there. If you're just looking for more on this one, you get to the pre-market high. What people are wanting to see is a gap fill on that gap down day when they bought CyberArk. That gap would be fulfilled at 193.10.
There is some sympathy plays here, but one thing to consider is a lot of the peers have already reported. So if you're doing sympathy, write this down. If you're the first company that reports, the peers all move a lot because we're getting a look into the quarter. When companies like Fortinet have already gapped down on their earnings, there's probably going to be a muted response here because we already know their earnings. So PNW a little later in the cycle here. But, pure plays, obviously, from cybersecurity, CrowdStrike, CRWD, Zscaler, FTNT, Okta, Sentinel-1. Those are your peers. But if you're wondering why they're not getting much of a move like Fortinet, it's because it already reported earnings. We already know those results. So the peer move is always muted when they've already reported. Next earnings report was Home Depot this morning here. HD comes out with their earnings just around 7 o'clock here this morning. Actually, it was early. It was around 6 o'clock this morning. So for you early birds out there, they missed. 468 versus 471, 45.27 billion versus 45.35 billion. That's a miss on the top, and that's a miss on the bottom. Their guidance is okay, just okay. 1446, supposed to see about 1462. It's a little bit light on guidance too. So what the hell gives here, Joel? This doesn't make any sense at all. They miss, and they stick kind of in line to slightly guided lower here. This doesn't sound that great. Is this market that forgiving though? Because you know what? This morning at 6 a.m., they hammered the stock. They hammered it down to, drum roll please.
I got it. 375.
They headed down 20 points this morning.
I wonder what the
Algos lose here too. Holy loser Algos today.
I did not write down.
I don't think they read it wrong, but you know what? Sometimes this just happens. Lower, or they miss, and lower guidance. Stock comes all the way back. We like Home Depot. It's hurricane season, folks. We got like 3 of them cooking over in the, Aaron's just around the corner, but it's going to miss. But then there's another, we got our, meteorologist, Brent Slav in the background here who's been tracking this in the STN room for us. We got 2 more possible disturbances in the Atlantic. GNRC has been showing a little bit of life here. So it is hurricane season. Home Depot's a hurricane stock. So probably as you enter hurricane season, August, September being pretty much, and October being the peak season here now, people maybe want to be buying the dip on Home Depot.
I don't. I'm just looking at had the retreat from the recent high, the move. People are getting some of their money back, and you have, I'm just going to call it a double top. Your 2 and 3 day highs, 403.61 and 402.79. Where to buy this thing? Like if you're shorting this thing off the hop, which is always a dangerous thing to do, a gap fill would come in at the high of yesterday's range at 398.14.
Also reporting this morning, we have VIK. Let's go find out the results. We're talking the cruise line.
Yes.
And the cruise line here is trading lower. we've had pretty darn good results from the other cruise lines here. So this one's okay, but not good enough. 99 cents versus 99 cents in line, 1.88 billion versus 1.83 billion. So the sales beat. Viking's been trading up near the highs. It's not bad. It's not good. I actually thought it would have been hit worse, and I guess it was, but we're still in the buy the dip market here. So it's come off those lows. VIK, very light volume, though. Only 36,000 shares have traded. So probably the big money hasn't spoken on this yet. That'll happen after 9:30. There's never much of a pre-market in VIK.
You have the current price action down $1.90. Pre-market low is quite a bit lower. If you're looking at for a target on the downside, pre-market low comes in at 56.25. But when I look at this upper right chart here and I see consolidations near the all-time high and closes here, it's right around a nice round number of $60. That's also the area of yesterday's low and a couple other lows. So when I'm looking at this chart, I'm not a shareholder, but I'd be like, boy, if this gets back to 60, I'd kind of like to wiggle out. Old support, could it be new resistance? If the bulls are if this is just going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6th month of just running in this stock, I expect it to gain a 60 bid. Just take a real quick look at RCL, which has been a beast. That had a big candle yesterday.
Huge. I don't know what the move was yesterday, but it was a big move yesterday. Can't keep a good stock down, I guess.
Carnival Cruise Lines just hanging out here at the $30 level, and then I think the laggard for this has been NLCH, and that's trading down slightly on the session.
Let's keep going through. Earnings are pretty light here this morning. We had Medtronic, we had KNDI, OPRA, XP last night. Gonna skip all those. They were pretty light. Tonight we're gonna get Toll Brothers, which is gonna be obviously moving home builders as well. We'll also get ZTO and Lazy Boy, Keysight as well, SQM, Lithium Play. I want to go back to some news that we just glossed over, though, because I want to get to the earnings. We're just hitting some more headlines here before our guest. We do have a merger here this morning. It is Merger Tuesday, not Merger Monday, but we have NXST is going to be acquiring Tegna. This was rumored already, TGNA. This was rumored last week, and that's why you saw the big pop. So if you're looking at, TGNA and saying, why is this only up 4%? What's getting taken over? It is because it was already rumored last week. It went 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I don't know who broke that rumor last week. Maybe the Brentster knows there, but props to them because they got this one right. The deal is a cash deal, $22 a share. So TGNA now trades just with the time value of money or the risk that the deal doesn't go through. And their risk arbs are saying that's worth about $1 because it's $1 down from there. TGNA. And then NXST, who is the acquirer here, interesting enough, is ripping higher on this. Usually they sell the acquirer. So this is kind of wacky Wednesday. The algos are probably wrong on this one too, although I don't think they actually did sell it off on it. Maybe they liked that they didn't pay a huge premium for it. I'm not sure. But usually the acquirer gets hit. It is a cash deal. They don't hit them as much on cash deals. But interesting that the stock is trading significantly higher on this.
I could be inciting a triple D ran here on Nexstar Media Group, Inc. The largest television station owner-operator in the United States?
This is what you're buying?
That's exciting. What Nexstar is.
And that's what Nexstar is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been hot. TV's hot again.
TV's hot again?
I don't know. It is this one. They must have some other stuff going on too.
200 stations, 116 markets. I don't know. I guess streaming hasn't taken over the world yet, Dennis.
Maybe they're streaming everything. They're streaming TVs.
They're streaming.
I don't know.
TV.
I know zero fundamentally about Nexstar. Okay. Zero. I know what the company does. I know nothing more. So maybe there's other stuff they're working on. Maybe there's this way that they're going to get in and compete more on streaming. Who knows? The algos like it though. So the algos have bought this one.
Tegna is radio and TV. So if you're bullish the radio market and TV market here, but you're right. If they're streaming they own all the major stations. But nice pop here, way above an all-time high for Nexstar. They're pre-market high. There was a odd lot I think at 230. Yeah, no, 1,100 shares traded up there. But I guess at this point in time, you could use the former all-time high at 212.24 as potential support for Nexstar Communications.
The chat's going crazy. They're all in open, I think. Everybody in the whole world is in this stock, I think, open door. It is up another 10% here today. So congrats to our friend Eric Jackson, who was on this show and was pitching this stock literally to when was that? When was Eric on here? Was it Friday? I can't remember.
Oh, yeah. How could you? Come on, Dennis. It's Tuesday.
It was Friday.
Yeah. Dennis,
he came on here, pitched it. He had a pretty good pitch on the thing here. I know there's some people who bought the thing. It was $315. It's $417. So you know what? That's a 25% move up since Eric was on here just a few days ago. I don't know what the catalyst is here for it this morning. I don't have any shares here, but I know there's lots of people that do. And congrats if you're in this stock. Open Door is moving nicely. I would just say $5 is going to be major resistance because that's where the high was before, 497. It's a long ways up yet. And that's also where often brokerages allow stocks to become marginable. So if they get through 5, it starts to open up a bit, but that's going to be the next test is $5.
Want to go to our guest at 8:31? Look, Chris, you ready to go?
Yeah. If Chris is ready, we'll do it.
Yeah, Chris is ready to go. Rock. Chris Bretcher, Senior Manager of Stocks at Trading. Chris.
Hey there. You're going in and out, so if I miss one of your questions, just ask again is fine with me. But how are you doing?
We're doing good in the dog days of August here, but right away, Dennis knows what I'm going to. Right here with you, Chris. Going right to that picture behind you.
Yeah. Well, the orange jacket right there is me in the IBM pit on the CBOE. I stood there for 8 years in the same spot. So I was staring at those screens. A lot of other people would read the paper when it was slow. I was always trying to figure relationships with stuff. So, but that's me. That was the yearbook a long time ago. That was the calendar picture for the CBOE. And I asked him if I could have the original and blow it up. So that's 4 feet by 6 feet. I've carried it everywhere when we've moved. So that's one of my pride and joys there.
You didn't move to take a lunch break or go to the bathroom. You stood there.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was in the same spot, so okay. I might be an easygoing person, but if somebody stood in my spot,
I was just going to bring that up. People had their spots and they got there early, and I've seen more than a few heated discussions for that spot. But how you doing in the dog days of August?
Well, it's interesting. I do a live chat at least 2 hours a day, an hour in the morning, hour in the afternoon. And I get on during lunch or if it's busy. So I'm on the last hour and the ES moved 2 points in an hour. I mean, it was I don't want to go and tell just war stories from the floor. I try to show relationships with stocks and all that. But we like trading zero DTE stuff, but it's brutal when it's a 1 point range.
This is the dog days of August here, Chris. We talk about this on the show, that this is one of the slower months, traders taking vacations here. When does it turn around? When do we start getting, is it September? Is the calendar turn is when it starts to pick up again? Do we expect, another 2 weeks of slowness? When does it start to turn around?
Well, I have some people that pay me to go away for a couple of days because that guarantees it'll get busy. But all kidding aside, that's why you would ask some of the topics I want to talk about. And it's really about lack of buybacks, I think, will increase the volatility. So when the markets were getting nailed in earlier in the year, the first quarter, even before the markets rallied, companies, there were all these headlines, they planned $500 billion of buybacks. And the way I looked at it is then companies were already sort of tipped off it wasn't going to be that bad. And that's why the market seemed to turn around right when buybacks began in earnest. And they usually start right after the peak earnings season. So that's why I think even if markets right now have a bad chart or bad news, things like JP Morgan, they just don't go down a lot because they're buying back their stock. And JP Morgan starts earnings October 14th. So I would say just the beginning of September, like September 9th, most companies voluntarily don't buy back stock 5 weeks prior to earnings. JP Morgan's the earliest. Then you get some up to, let's say, November 3rd. So it's about 55 days when the blackouts are in there, and they're all different. But that's when I think you'll see some more wild trading, and you do almost every year in September and October. I think one reason is that reason is then all of a sudden you don't have a floor from the companies.
Buybacks, differing opinions, good or bad for stocks?
Well, they're good for stocks. I'm just seeing probability. So like a JP Morgan looks like a head and shoulders top, but the probability of that breaking goes down dramatically if they're buying billions of dollars of stock. So you'll see there was a head and shoulders, let's say, in prior to last earnings, and that one worked almost to the day that they stopped buying back stock. So it's one of the favorite is go to Pubmatic, and that'll crack you up. 7% of the stock they bought back last quarter. And you'll see that on a daily chart. If you see that little break in July, that was almost to the day that they stopped buying back stock in July. Then you'll see it's Rule 10b-18. They can't buy the last 10 minutes and they can't buy the opening. And if you look at the day of earnings, the low was the opening. And it hasn't gone down since then. So it's amazing. But bearish news is more likely to matter, or bearish charts, when they're not buying back their stock. And it's literally almost 5 weeks to the day of when they report. Yeah, right there. Isn't that amazing?
Chris, is there a website you go to track all this? Are you just writing them down and tracking it yourself? Like, where's the cheat sheets here? Because this is awesome information that you're giving us here. We know, like Apple, for instance, the majority of its last 5 years of gains is probably from buybacks. Is there a place where you go to track all this?
Yeah. Well, one of them is I try to pour over earnings and see if they announce it. The other is, believe it or not, you can go to AI things and ask what's the biggest buybacks, or you can Google it. Or the other way is there's one ETF left. I believe it's PKZ, and they actually show their compositions. Let me go to it real quick. Just put in buyback ETF, and there's one. There used to be one that would capitalize itself or its holdings and adjust for the amount of buybacks as a percentage of the outstanding, and that's gone away. It's the Buyback Achievers ETF. That's it. So unfortunately, there's one, PKW, and that'll list its holdings. So that's one way we do it. And the other is we do it we build a list like that. So we have a list, let's say, of 100 stocks. But then we sort of look at the violators. And what we mean by that is if, let's say one day the ES is down 18 like Friday, and you see a stock that won't go down, and then the last 10 minutes it falls apart. And to me, that's sort of being a tip-off that they're buying back stock. You could see it with Microsoft on Friday. Go and look what happened the last 10 minutes. It was pretty dramatic.
Do you think they time it on dips? Like, are they coming in, the corpse, or are they just using a VWAP algo all day and just slowly sifting it in? Or are they like looking there and they got traders sitting there and timing these? How do you think that they actually, execute?
That's a great question. You got to think in April and May, they were just buying whenever there was a dip. But of what I've read, it's mainly about VWAP. In fact, they give it to a different trading firm, and they gauge their performance by how much they deviate from the VWAP. So I think that's a good point. But yeah, so if it gets too far from the VWAP, they're probably buying more.
Do you look for certain technical patterns? Because we're big double tops. Do you see that they coincide? Like, hey, we're just going to buy this at $8, and do you look for technical patterns to confirm the buybacks? Or
yeah, when you saw that companies were planning buybacks, I like to have 3 reasons to do a trade. So when we saw in May that they were going to be buying back stock, and that's when the peak buyback season starts, we also combined it that the markets were starting to, 2 things. Number one, the German market usually correlates with the U.S. markets great. And it was at an all-time high at the end of April. So we were like similar charts have similar results. So that was number one of our tip off that markets were going to go up. The other was, do you ever look at Quiver Quantitative? So
No,
where
sir.
you, that's where you track Congress people on their stock trades.
Yep.
And they were loading up right before the markets went up. So that was another tip off. But technical wise was definitely the cross of some of the moving averages in late April. So that was one of the biggest keys was the market. I always tell people that I like to buy on the way up when markets are turning. And they're like, what do you mean by turning? And I'm like, well, if you go to the SPX and just put in even a just a simple 50 moving average, you'll see on how it turned in May. I mean, May 1st, believe it or not. So that to me was the one of the first tip offs. Also, earlier you saw like a little inverse head and shoulders with the neckline about 54.50. So that in there for the SPX, so the non-24 hours, so not the ES. And if you look at it daily, and you can just draw a trend line from April 3rd to May 1st, and I think you'll see the defined trend line. And that was another tip off. So that definitely technical. My first priority is always technical. So,
What about
Chris?
volume?
Yes.
You pay a lot of attention to volume?
You know, it's funny about that. I look at volume in two ways, not like every day. Like how many times you heard the market's going up on light volume? And I've seen it go up on light volume for months. I look at like breakouts. The validity of the breakout is a lot more in individual stocks if it breaks out on big volume. I also look at exhaustions on the downside and the upside, and that I try to be picky with volume. So if you see the crescendo, I mean, you're looking right at it for April in the ES on the top right of your charts of that capitulation volume. So it did matter. It matters at that capitulation in, what was that, April, like right there. Yeah. I mean, the volume was definitely different. So it looks to me like the volume on the breakdown started in March. Well, one of them was March, but the capitulation was April. And we look at it, if you put up Carvana, I think you'll see that the volume on the capitulation move on the daily chart, yeah, look at that crescendo. So after a big old move up, so the breakout, you get big volume. So you got that in April where you got that little bull flag and you got the break up, but then you get the crescendo after a projected move up. And then we look at the candlestick and the follow through to the downside. That was a good short idea as long as you combine it with charts like you're saying. You're really into technicals. So am I.
Chris, just sticking with the buyback theme for a second, are there certain stocks, I love this theme, are there certain stocks that you trade like pick on, for instance, like saying like, you know, like Apple over the last 5 years been relentlessly doing buybacks. So there's certain stocks like mega caps you focus on, or is it smaller caps that you focus on because maybe those moves are more influential in a smaller cap? Is there certain names that you focus on in your buyback strategies?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, Marriott just announced a huge buyback. So believe it or not, we play it the opposite way because that Rule 10b 18, you can't buy back stock the last 10 minutes. And that stock's been amazing of getting nailed the last 10 minutes. But if you want to play it, usually if they're buying a lot of stock and it's a big assumption that they're buying back now. I mean, maybe they wait. But the assumption is that if they're buying back that much stock, you can usually do neutral strategies because it's not going to go down that much. I mean, that's the way we're seeing it. So a Marriott, a Microsoft. Now, you might say, well, why is Microsoft going down after its earnings? Same thing with that crescendo. So it seems like technicals would dwarf the buyback for now, at least. And they came out and said they're investing so much in AI. So that AI can affect the buybacks, I think. I think another way to do it, and you'll love this one, is if you go to tip ranks and you go to tip ranks on Google buyback, and it just spits out, let's say you put tip ranks Google buyback, it'll have like a web address. And in between the little slashes for the symbol, it'll show how much they bought back every quarter. It's really interesting.
You can track it a bit.
That's another way that I've been finding, like, let's say JP Morgan buys back a lot more stock than Wells Fargo. So, and you said like Apple, Microsoft buying back a lot. But if you go put in tip ranks, I mean, right now, and put in Apple buyback, I bet it spits out a web address. Yeah, it spits out a web address. And just in the middle of that, where it has the Apple symbol, just put in a different, it has what, tipranks.com/stock/Apple/buybacks. Just go put in Target, Walmart. And that's how we build a list. Also,
I'm trying to do in the background here right now, but I'm slow. The Brentster would be faster at this in the background, but I'm trying to do it here.
Now you're racing. Let's see who wins.
Yeah, they do that. They do that.
They go like that. I went Google. Bang. You should see that. Is that what you're looking at here? Is this buybacks data here? Monthly, it looks like.
Yeah,
quarterly. Sorry, it's quarterly. June,
so I just go to like Alphabet and
yep, that's where we're at. Can you see that?
And then just click on Alphabet, and the web address will have Alphabet's quarterly buybacks. If you click on that tip ranks.
I did. I don't know. We're showing the wrong screen maybe. Here. Try to show us again.
Yeah, click on that. It should work.
You know why? Because hang on.
It probably won't work when we're live.
It's StreamYard, because when I click, it thinks I'm trying to show something else, which is annoying.
Can I show my screen?
Boom. I've got it here.
Oh, okay, cool.
Share. There.
Let's see if it works.
We'll get the Branson to do this next time in the background.
Isn't that neat? I mean, so that's one really way we find it. Yeah, and look when they front loaded the buybacks. I mean, the last year they bought back a lot more stock.
We can look at Microsoft. I just changed the
symbol.
And now I've lost it though. But
to be honest, I don't know how you click on it and then do it. So I just put in between those slashes up there. I just then put MSFT.
Yeah. Okay.
And I mean, up in the web address. So that's the only way.
You go right under here. I see. What you're doing.
Because I don't see it in the drop down. I don't see it in their tabs.
It ranks about that. We know those guys. There you go. Like Microsoft, you can see. Boom. 3.2
Yeah,
billion, and does it say how much is left? Does it say how much is left?
No, but they say like they added so and so to their buyback.
Yeah, really cool.
And like I said, it's more collectively that right now, if you put 1.1 trillion buyback into Google, it'll say they planned that much for this year. So that's why I think that 5 weeks prior to earnings, you're going to start getting that volatility kick in.
Chris, two-part question on this before we let you go. Number one, what do you think about when companies announce buyback when stocks are just at all-time highs? And also, from the sounds of it, being a floor person, I know you'll probably play both sides of the market. What do you think about those instant reactions when they announce these huge buybacks? And I'll just use CVX as an example. I mean, I believe I had it right here. This was this month, given most of their gains after announcing a mixed. Oh no, that was mixed 4-quarter report. But I know they announced a big buyback. How do you handle those two scenarios?
Usually when they announce the buyback, the thing is they announce the buyback after earnings, so now they can buy back stock again. So usually they hold up. But I would fade a massive spike because they've been buying back stock for quarters. But yeah, usually then we wouldn't necessarily fade, a big move, but we'd probably play it neutral. After the first reaction, we'd probably play neutral to up because of the buffer.
And what about when they're at all-time highs?
That's a great question, because I don't know if I'm CFO, why would I buy on the way up? Just like we're seeing this 1550 trade. If the ES is up like 70, you're not seeing stock sell off the last 10 minutes. As you got to think, why are they wasting their money on buying back stock if the ESs are taking it up anyway? So I think they're not as effective then. when a stock's at an all-time high, it's a good question, but when you just saw that with Microsoft or Google and you see how much they bought back every quarter, seems like they're buying the same amount back whether the stock's down or up. So it's a little odd that if I was CFO, I wouldn't be buying at an all-time high. I mean, I'd be conserving for when it has some waft down.
Yeah. Yep. That's what I like to say. Final question. What was your badge symbol?
Oh, KRS.
KRS. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Now, when I'm doing bad, I just don't tell people. But no, all kidding aside, it's KRS. And believe it or not, my last 2 years trading, I had a Bear Stearns jacket. So I still have my Bear Stearns jacket. It's sort of ironic that, it's not around. So sometimes on Halloween, I actually wear my trading jacket, which of course anybody less than 50 years old has no idea what I'm wearing.
What years were you there?
From 85 to 93.
Did you know John Schuler or Larry Mertz? I think they were in OEX pit, or Ronnie Klein. Did you know that those are a few people? I was over at the Merck, but I just wondered if you knew. I believe they were in the.
I think I knew Ron Klein. I tried to. I was scared of the OEX pit. It was so big, so I used to call orders in. But I was I am friends with Sosnoff and Tony Batista.
Okay.
And remember the guy that rode the balloon around the world?
Oh, he was an options guy.
Right. He had a bunch of seats.
Fawcett.
Fawcett. And unfortunately, he passed away, but friends with Fawcett. And Dr. J, he was in the IBM pit.
Yeah. Wow.
And so a lot of the characters were, I was there with them. It was a pretty interesting time. I was in the IBM pit, but a lot of people started migrating over to the Microsofts of the world.
Okay, Chris Bretcher, Senior Managing Director of Stocks at Simpler Trading, who just shot up the PMP guest list. Chris, we got to have you back on again soon. Great topics, great information, and we really appreciate having you on. And we'll be dialing you up next month if that's okay.
That would be great. It would be great if the ES moved more than 2 points when I'm on.
There you go.
So thanks again for having me on.
All right, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. That was great.
Bye. Bye.
Okay.
What a great show today. What a great show today.
You like patting yourself in the back sometimes, don't you? I think Joel's he's one of those, he's like Jeremy Newsom. Listen to Jeremy says, give yourself a pat on the back every once in a while. I do it every once in a while, but Joel likes to pat himself on the back sometimes. It is a great show.
You like to yell at me.
I do. I just like to pick on you. Like, that's what I look for. Something. That was a softball up the middle. What a great show today. What a great job I'm doing. I'm going to pick on you for that. It is a good show. Okay. Moving on. Stop picking on Joel. Start moving on here. Ratings parade. Evercore upgrades Caterpillar to outperform. This one stands out here this morning. Going to jump into the note here right now, give you a little bit more color. Thanks to Street Insider. David Rosso upgraded Caterpillar from inline to outperform, price target $476. Analyst comments, Cat's recent resilience in construction equipment margins amid price cost negativity. A reminder of the power of volume, leverage, and geographic mix. North America is where the end of machine destocking will be most beneficial. That mix, and now from word in the channel that Cat may look to not just have less year-over-year price declines from easier year-ago comparisons, but has already begun, could look to do more, reducing of current discounting. We see EPS upside later in 2025 and more importantly, 2026. Given the appetite for stock already via its power gen data center exposure, which I didn't really realize that. Machine upside would be a material incremental positive to broaden Cat appeal. Caterpillar, we know, sold off a little bit on their earnings, kind of has been holding up, just a little slow leak. Does this turn it around here, Mr. Elconin?
It's all about 420 to me. You had a big break. You're getting halfway the move back. That comes in around 422, and then you have some daily highs at 420. So big move up. If you're looking to buy the dip, you might have missed it a few days ago, but if you're looking for continued upside, you need a sustained 420 bid. Pre-market high, 420.
Also from ratings land here, we got, well, Palo Alto Networks, we got a pile on. That's just obviously chasing here. B of A, upgrading it to buy. Solid results, attractive long-term growth profile. Alibaba Macquarie upgrading it. I don't think that matters.
22 cents.
Daiwa upgraded Gilead last night. It's up a little bit too. We did a ranking last night in the STN room. We were ranking them all. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. We won't say who's in what ranking, but some of these that we've just mentioned are definitely lower tier. Mizuho upgrading PLD. I'm just kind of looking through. There isn't too much else. There wasn't a lot of downgrades either here. One was interesting was Rocket got a buy rating there from, trying to grab where it was. RKT buy rating from, oh man, I don't have it in front of me here. We said it last night in the room.
BTIG.
Yeah. BTIG gives RKT a buy rating. I didn't see the price target. I did last night. I don't see it here now. Stock is trading up 2% here this morning. Full disclosure, I'm long. Bought it last night on the buy rating in the room. Thought, at 1790, it was saying 1790, 1792. I was like, I think it's worth more than that. I think it's going to be up over 18 on the rating. And today it is. $25 price target, the Brentster says on RKT. I mean, when you get these memester stocks that get the buy ratings, they mean a little bit more. And it's funny to call Rocket a memester stock, but right now it is. They've been all kind of over it here. Well, they even had an acronym going. What was that acronym the other day? Brent, do you remember the acronym the other day for the 4 meme stocks that were in Reddit? It was like Kohl's was in the acronym and Rocket was in the acronym. Chat, help me out. You probably know this one. Kohl's, Rocket. There's a few other ones in there too. I can't remember what it is, but I was like, really? It was like a good little acronym too, and Rocket was in there. So the memesters have grabbed a hold of this. RKT, Joel, this was a Joel Elconin stock originally. You had the greatest call on this one, and you never bought it.
I know. I'm waiting for it.
Just get in there. Joel's like such a long-term investor. He has to think about it for like a long time.
Yeah, I think about it too.
Right, buy the sells, has talked to the investment committee.
It was those acquisitions.
Dork.
Right?
It was Dork. Eddie's all over it. Dork. What were the 4 stocks in Dork? It was, what was the D? Because we know R is the Rocket, KSS is the Kohl's. What's the D and the O? Dork stocks. Eddie, you're absolutely right. It was Dork, the acronym. It's from like Reddit or something. And what were the other 2? Open is one of them. Open's the O, for sure, Open. What's the D? Dunkin' Donuts.
No.
Dunkin' Donuts are trying to get that one going. And that's not even like, what is the symbol in Dunkin' Donuts now?
DNUT. Oh, no, wait. It's Krispy Kreme.
It used to be DK. Like I went to that, but it's DNUT.
Okay.
So that's what it is. So they got Donut or Dork. It's DNUT, Open, Art Rocket, RKT, and Kohl's. That's what they've been trying to like move up here. Overall, I mean, some of these stocks have done pretty well. Donut not participating though.
Dennis, quick question here. We're going to wrap the show up. One of your better calls, Oscar. You still hanging on to that puppy?
I don't think it was one of my better ones. I think it was a bad call, but yeah, I'm still in it.
No, the way you stuck with it. The way you stuck with it, I meant.
Well, certain stocks. So a lot of people, I've talked about this in the chat too. A lot of people want to like trade like this. Buy it here, stop here, target here. I don't trade like that. It works for a lot of people. It works great. I've never traded like that before. I trade with immediate gratification. Like, when I'm buying Intel or something on a headline, or I'm buying, I'm like, I want to see it going my way right away. I'm doing an imbalance. I want to see it working right away. From an investing standpoint, I buy good companies at reasonable valuations that potentially have a story. So, and the story can sometimes trump. I will sometimes invest in stuff that has a story. For instance, my Intel buy from last week or a week and a half ago, I think it was last week actually, 2070, which obviously we posted in the Stock Trader Network room, was all on say, hey, I see a lot of potential for good headlines coming here. There's a rumor, well, not a rumor, the CEO's going to the White House. I'm like, probably going to be working out something with Trump. Lo and behold, now there's been rumors starting, and SoftBank's taking investments. Lots of good things happening there. So that's where I'm like, I'm like headline anticipation to a certain extent too. Not so much like, here's my SPY, here's my stock. The reason I was an Oscar and the reason I stuck with it so far, I'm not saying it's a winner. It's like I'm barely up in it because I was down in it for a long time. This sector is in shambles, but this stock just isn't falling, and now it's starting to turn around because the sector is starting to turn around here too. They're starting to get interest in healthcare, but this is also a retail darling as well. And it's a stock that actually didn't trade at a crazy valuation there either. I mean, earnings are a little bit volatile here, but there's the potential for this to actually grow into a valuation that makes some sense here. So yes, they're not making money now, but the price to sale is only 0.39. Company's only $4 billion market cap. So like there's potential here that they could actually grow into a valuation, and the retail community loves this stock. So, sometimes, if you get, a story plus, a potential stock that, maybe isn't trading as a crazy valuation, it gives you that opportunity.
All right, we got to hop over to the STN room. Dug up Blue Putnam. I want to talk about that divergence between the CPI and PPI. If you guys have not done your free trial to do it right now. Blue's going to be coming on the top of the hour. And tomorrow, coming back on pre-market prep, Cameron Dawson from New Edge Wealth. Folks, thanks for your contributions in the chat. Your content is as important as ours. That's it for today on pre-market.